Hey, so not too long ago, I did a video where I did part one of my Doctor Who collection, which covered the William Hartnell, Patrick Troughton, and John Pertwee DVDs. So I decided that I'm going to do the same thing again, but this time we're going to try and cover Tom Baker, Peter Davison, and Colin Baker. So here we go. So first off, with Tom Baker, we start with Robot, which is the first Tom Baker story. It's pretty good. Following that, we got Ark in Space, which I think they re-released this. I can't remember if it was a special edition or not, but you can see that this is an older copy because the little Tom Baker picture at the top has like a cut circle around it for some reason. And most of these, as you notice, don't, except for Robots of Death. They have that as well, so you could definitely see that there's a difference there. For some reason, a lot of the older Tom Baker releases, or not a lot of them, but like a few of them have that, and I'm not really sure as to why. So after Ark in Space, we got the Sontaran Experiment, followed by Genesis of the Daleks, which many people consider to be the best Dalek story of the classic era. It's the first story to feature Davros, and it explores the origins of the Daleks. Next up is Revenge of the Cybermen, which is the first story to feature the Cybermen's weakness to gold. Even though the Cybermen had appeared multiple times before this is the first time that they had like an actual weakness other than just anything that could happen to destroy them. Terror of the Zygons, first story to feature the Zygons. Plan of Evil, the Pyramids of Mars, which features Sutek, the Android Invasion, the Brain of Morbius. This is actually one of my favorite Doctor Who stories. I'd go as far as to say that it's in my top 5. It's kind of controversial because it features the Morbius Doctors, which that's a thing that basically hints that the Doctor may have had incarnations prior to William Hartnell. So there's that. Seeds of Doom, not to be confused with the Seeds of Death. The Mask of Mandragora, I can't remember. The Hand of Fear, another good one from the Tom Baker era, and the last to feature Sarah Jane Smith as a regular character, played by Elizabeth Sladen. She would come back for the 20th anniversary special, The Five Doctors, and she wouldn't come back again until the new series. The Deadly Assassin, which brings the Master back, this time played, I think, by Peter Pratt, as a burnt corpse zombie version of himself. The Face of Evil, which is the first story to feature the Doctor's companion Leela. The Robots of Death, which this is an old DVD. I think they re-released this not too long ago before it went out of print. The Talons of Wing Chang. The Horror of Fang Rock, which the cover, I do not like the cover art for this one. I don't know why. The Invisible Enemy, plus the entirety of the spin-off K9 and Company. So, The Invisible Enemy was the first story to feature K9, which is that robot dog right there. And K9 Company was a one-episode spin-off featuring K9 that didn't get picked up for a full series. So if you want both a spin-off and the first episode to feature K9, you got to get this. Image of Fandal, The Sunmakers, Underworld, and The Invasion of Time, which is a really good one. Next up, we have down here, we have the Key to Time Special Edition. This is 6 stories that make up a big story arc, and Doctor Who is the first story arc to feature the companion Romana. And honestly, it's pretty good. This is the special edition, which is in a much smaller case, and it has like all 6 DVDs in there. I do have, I gotta get up, the original, there's my cat, the original box for the Key to Time box set. It's over here, next to all this stuff on my shelf. You can see here that, they're full-size DC. They still have the cut out looking picture. Unfortunately though, these don't work. For some reason, they will not play on any DVD. They got these weird, perfectly circular spots on them that are like in the actual printing of the DVD. So I can't get them resurfaced. They will not work. So that's a bummer. But I got the special edition. So I keep that old box because it was a gift from my dad. And I love my dad, so I'm not gonna throw out anything he gives me. And plus it's cool to have both versions. It's like, hey, I got both, ha ha ha, because I'm a huge nerd. Next up, Destiny of the Daleks. Second story to feature Davros. First story to feature the Movellans. City of Death. Unfortunately, I only got a Region 2 copy of this because I just never picked up the Region 1 copy in time. This is actually a really good story. Man, I can't remember a whole lot about it, though. I know it took place mostly in Paris. It was a big deal. Anyway, Creature from the Pit, that one's alright. Nightmare of Eden, I personally wasn't a huge fan of it. This is another alternate region version that I had to get. The Horns of Nemon, the first story to feature the Nemon. Shada. So Shada wasn't originally a Doctor Who story because it was never finished. It was never finished. It never got made, or at least not completed. And there was another DVD version of this that was released, and it was the unfinished version with, I think some narration by Tom Baker that kind of explained how the story was supposed to go. This is an animated version of Shada. So this is a complete animated version, so you complete for the first time. But what's neat is that they actually put the story number on it and designed it to sort of be like, a classic series DVD. They even got the whole the Tom Baker years thing at the bottom that most of these have. And what I thought was interesting about this is that they did that for Shada, but they don't have the numbering for stuff like Power of the Daleks, the Macra Terror, the Faceless Ones, or Fury from the Deep. So that kind of always bugged me that they didn't do the story numberings for the Troughton animated stories, but it's whatever. Also, Shada messes up the numbering of Doctor Who stories, because usually the stories are counted in a certain way, and in the United States, it is counted a little bit differently, because even before the animated version of Shada was released, for some reason, numerous sources in the United States counted Shada as an actual story. It was always story 109, but yet I think in other countries they didn't. So Shada is the first, but not the last story to mess up the numbering. Next up, we got the Leisure Hive, which a cousin of mine helped me track this one down in a store somewhere. Meglos, the E-Space Trilogy. So this is 3 stories in one DVD case. It's Full Circle, State of Decay, and Warrior's Gate. It was the last stories to feature Romana as a regular companion, and the first to introduce Adric. So next up, we got the Keeper of Traken, Legopolis, which is actually Tom Baker's final story. It's really good. And Castrovalva, which is Peter Davison's first story. And the reason why I want to pick out these 3 specifically is because these 3 make up the New Beginnings trilogy, or at least that's what it was released as at one point, because you could buy these as a box set, which had Legopolis, Castrovalva, and the Keeper of Traken. And they all featured the Master and the Doctor both getting new bodies and going up against each other. It's a really good story arc. It's just really good. It's awesome. The only real downside that I can really point out is that I bought these separately and not in a box set, so that's unfortunate. Forward to Doomsday. So you got Forward to Doomsday. Kinda. I mean, it's kinda. So the Visitation Special Edition, I have the regular edition downstairs that was given to me by a friend of mine. This was the last story in the classic series to feature the Sonic Screwdriver. And after that, the Doctor would kind of go like, he just use his hands to fix and break shit. So there you go. Black Orchid. Some people say it's the best. A lot of people say it's the worst Doctor Who story. Depends. Earthshock, which this is a pretty big deal because it features the death of a companion. I'm not going to spoil which one. So yeah. Time Flight, which has the Master in it. Arc of Infinity, which has the return of the enemy known as Omega. Snake Dance. This is a weird one. Snake Dance is really weird. This is another box set. The Black Guardian trilogy. The Black Guardian is a really powerful entity that the Fifth Doctor has to go against. This is also the trilogy that introduces the Doctor's companion Turlo. I'd actually argue that the Black Guardian trilogy is Peter Davison's best story arc. So down here, we got the King's Demons that features the Master. The Five Doctors 25th Anniversary Edition. So this is actually a different release of the Five Doctors. I have another DVD release downstairs somewhere. This is great. It's considered one of the greatest Doctor Who stories ever, and honestly, it is one of the best ones. Definitely check it out if you get the chance. It's really good. Let's see here. I mean, anything that's got Patrick Troughton and John Pertwee coming back, because unfortunately, William Hartnell was dead when they made the Five Doctors, so they had to replace him with another actor who does a good job. I want to say he does a good job, but still. Warriors of the Deep features both the Silurians and the Sea Devils, the Awakening, Frontios, the special edition of Resurrection of the Daleks, which is pretty good, Planet of Fire, the Caves of Androzani special edition. This is the final Peter Davison story. It's really good. I definitely recommend it. So after that, we would get the Colin Baker era. Now, some people really like the Colin Baker era, and a lot of people just kind of trash on it. I personally like Colin Baker, but I think that might be because I listen to a lot of audio dramas with Colin Baker, and he's really good in that. So here we got the Twin Dilemma, which a lot of people say is the worst Doctor Who story in the entirety of the classic era. Attack of the Cybermen, Vengeance on Veros, which is the first story to feature Syl right here. I love Syl. He's great. The Mark of the Rani, the first story to feature the Rani. The Two Doctors. So the Two Doctors, this was, by the way, a DVD on demand. So it was sent to me after I ordered it. It was made on demand. The final classic Doctor story to feature Patrick Troughton reprising his role as the second Doctor, and the last multi-Doctor story of the classic era, unless you count, I think it's called Dimensions in Time, or something like that. It was some weird special that was made in the 90s, but it's considered non-canon. Time Lash, which is really bizarre. Revelation of the Daleks. This is actually the very first classic Doctor Who DVD I ever got. I always told myself that if I met Colin Baker at a convention or something, that this would be the DVD that I would have him autograph. And then this big old beast is the Trial of a Time Lord box set, which features stories 144, 145, 146, and 147, which is, let's see, oh, they're on top here. The Mysterious Planet, Mind Warp, Terror of the Vervoids, and The Ultimate Foe. So this is the first story arc to introduce the Valyard as a villain. Also, this is where the numbering gets really messed up, because some places have Trial of a Time Lord as one big story, and others have them separated as 4 separate stories. It seems the American numbering has them all as one big story. So I'm sorry, I don't know why I just said that. I messed that up. It had the American numbering, for some reason, has them as 4 separate stories. Even though if you look on the DVDs, they still have the like 1 to 4, 5 to 8, 9 to 12, 13 to 14 as like parts, but yet they're all separate, just part of a story arc in the American numbering. I know I said I was going to finish with Colin Baker, but since we're here and I don't want to have to get down on the floor and get up again in the next video, I think I'll just wrap up the entirety of Classic Who right now. So here we got the Sylvester McCoy era, starting with Time and the Ronnie, Paradise Towers, Delta and the Bannerman. This is another one that a lot of people say might be like the worst one. Dragonfire, which is the first story to feature Ace. And let's see here. Remembrance of the Daleks, Special Edition. This is actually a really good story. Often considered one of Sylvester McCoy's best. The Happiness Patrol, with the villain known as Candyman up there at the top. Not to be confused with the horror movie. Alright, now I gotta get up and finish the remainder of Classic Who. So, over here we got Silver Nemesis, which is Sylvester McCoy's first and only story to feature the Cybermen during his era. The Greatest Show in the Galaxy. Battlefield. This is another one that a lot of people say is one of the worst, and honestly, I can't really defend this one. Ghostlight, which, personally, I thought Ghostlight was pretty good. The Curse of Fenric. This one's pretty badass. I love it. And finally, Survival, the final story in Classic Who, unless you count the movie, which I am. So here we go. Here we have Doctor Who, the movie, the special edition. This didn't last long in the U.S. It didn't get released for long, so if you don't have it on DVD, I'm sorry. This is actually also a big part of my collection because it is autographed by Paul McGann, the 8th Doctor himself. So I'm really, really glad that I got his autograph on that. And that is it for my Classic Who collection, unless we go down here where I have the Lost in Time box set, a collection of rare episodes. These are incomplete stories. I think some of these actually did get animated restorations, but these are surviving episodes from stories that have missing episodes in them, and surviving clips and audios and all that. So there's that. All right, so I just covered Classic Who. I guess I can also count this as part of Classic Who in a way. The Doctor Who movie starring Peter Cushing. These are the DVD copies, which I think are out of print. They were released by Anchor Bay. And recently, they just got re-released with these awesome Blu-rays. Doctor Who and the Daleks and Dalek Invasion Earth 2150 AD. So, yeah, that's Classic Who. I'm going to cover New Who, maybe some audio dramas, spin-offs. At some point, I'll cover Blu-rays in the future. I got to get around to that. So, yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. I'm going to go fall asleep because I am tired.